Basilica.
Okay.
So we're going to a construction site. So I'd like you to be very careful. Watch your step. Things lying around, equipment and sheetrock. So please be very careful.
Okay.
So we're going to go through the sidewalk. Okay. So welcome everyone to our new church, to the Cathedral of Woodland. So the first feeling when you come into this part, which is the vestibule, is the height. That's the thing that impresses you most. And our church, has that feature. It brings you all the way up. And that's what faith, does. We're brought up to God, and every time we come to church, we are taken up to the heavens. So that's the first impression when you walk in. It really is a tall church. It's big, our kids said earlier. And this is the vestibule. You remember the vestibule we had in the old church? It was just a small room, and we had just one restroom, for everyone, men and women. So we have more than one restroom. At the east side is the ladies' room, and there would be 6 stalls, there. And then the other side is the mother's room, or the bride's room, and there's a confessional, there. For those of you who are doing this the second time, maybe when you were here, it was all just framed, right? Steel frame. And now, you have all these walls defined. So that's on the east side. The west side is the men's room. And then there's a family room, where young families could go. They don't have to be in the mix, or maybe an elderly and a caregiver. So there's a nice bathroom, intended for those people. And we have the vestry, where the priest would get vested for Mass, and also the altar servers, get ready, and ministers. And there's another confessional, here as well. So the vestibule would also serve as the overflow, or the cry room, for young families with little children, that need to be here. So this is the place for them. And this could be set up with chairs, about 25, chairs as needed. Those are the storages, for the chairs, and tables as well if we need to promote, sell, those golden tickets, for the school. This will be the place, for that. And the divider would be made out of glass panels, so that even if you have to be here, you'd still be able to see, what's going on, and still be able to participate. And there'll be speakers up there too, so you'll be able to hear what's going on inside. If you look behind you, those are the main doors. They're impressive. They're tall. The door in the Catholic Church symbolizes Jesus, of course, who is the door, the gate, the way to our salvation. So as we go through the doors, we go through Jesus, we bring ourselves to Him. And I love, just the arcs there. And you see 2 niches for statues. This would be for Our Lady of Fatima. We have Our Lady of Fatima displayed right now in the community center, and that's Saint Anthony with the child Jesus. And the rose window is the same rose window from the old church that was also in the front, an image of Mary called as Queen of the Most Holy Rosary. So that would be the special feature of the vestibule. And we have 2 stained glass windows as well on this side that were in the sacristy. So they're now visible, to the whole parish. Before, unless you were a minister, that was the only time you could get to see, those stained glass windows. So this is the vestibule, and this is also, where we're allowed to talk as much as we want, right? Before Mass and after Mass. Once we go into the main church, then we talk to the Lord. Yeah. Okay, coming into the main church, and watch your head, watch your step. So when you come into the main church, welcome to the main church. Then it opens up, right? It's not just tall anymore, it's wide, it's vast. And as the embrace of God for all of us, when we come to church, God is bringing all of us into His heart, into Himself. And this would hold 1,000 people. Originally, we planned for 800. Our biggest Mass is the 9 a.m. or the 1 p.m. and we get about 700, 650 people there. So we thought 800, would be a good size. Smaller, less costly. But the bishop said Woodland is a growing community, so plan for 1,000. So we have 1,000 seating capacity in our church. The first thing that would welcome you is the baptismal font from the old church. Maybe some of you were baptized in that font. And it's refinished, with mosaics, and also there'll be mosaic around it. And it's symbolic because this is where our journey as Christians starts, right? At baptism, it's the sacrament of welcome. It's the sacrament of initiation. And we come and dip our finger and bless ourselves with the sign of our baptism, the sign of our salvation. You see where the stained glass windows are going? In the old church, we had them tall and high. And unless you would stand there and try to look at them, then you'd see. Now they're closer and bigger. And in the old church, we had 2 mysteries for each window. Now we have just 1 mystery for a window. So this is the joyful mysteries, the early life of Jesus, Annunciation. What's the second joyful mystery? Yeah. Visitation, right? There you go. And then the birth of Jesus. And then we continue with the sorrowful mysteries, and then the glorious mysteries. So the main church will feature the traditional mysteries, joyful, sorrowful, and glorious. This is a special window. Mother Mary and Saint Dominic. Saint Dominic is traditionally known as the one receiving the vision for the Holy Rosary. Now, there's another rose window there, and that's St. Francis Xavier Cabrini. There's a movie. Have you seen that movie? Cabrini? Yeah, it's a beautiful one. So Mother Cabrini is pretty special to Holy Rosary, to Woodland. She came to Woodland and visited the Holy Cross Sisters, the teachers of our Holy Rosary school. And when she was made a saint, she was from Italy originally. My understanding is that the Italian parishioners and Father Maio, who was of Italian descent, wanted to memorialize her visit to Woodland, and of course, honor her as the first naturalized American saint, from Italy. So they had a stained glass window made in her honor. So that's Mother Cabrini right there, and right under her is the altar of Our Lady of Guadalupe, the one we had in the old church on the left-hand side if you're facing the sanctuary. So on the other side is another rose window, St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. She is the patron saint of Catholic schools and Catholic educators. And my understanding is that when the sisters who stayed here as teachers at Holy Rosary School, they were here for almost 100 years, from 1870s to 1970s. So when they left, it was around the same time St. Elizabeth Ann Seton was made a saint. So my thoughts are that the community wanted to honor the sisters, to thank them, acknowledge their services here by having their patron saint, having a stained glass window of their patron saint. So that's my understanding why we have Mother Cabrini and St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. And under St. Elizabeth Ann Seton is the statue of the Sacred Heart. In between the stained glass windows, we would have the Stations of the Cross. So they're being worked on right now by an artist from Grass Valley who actually went to school in the Vatican. Yeah. So she loves, the Stations of the Cross and just the history about it. And I think they were brought to the parish in the 1800s, late 1800s, from the Holy Rosary Academy. Okay. So we begin our journey here as Christians in baptism, and of course we bring ourselves closer to the Lord when we come to Mass, when we bring ourselves, to His church. And so I'd like us to make that journey towards the sanctuary. We're going up here, we'll take this route up here. So this is the sanctuary area, and I've shared this with parishioners. And the first time I came here, it was still pretty bare, but the roof was up and the scaffolding was in there. Of course, there was no equipment here. I just stood right there in the middle and look out and look around, and it was pretty overwhelming. And I got emotional at that moment too. Just lots of gratitude, just lots of joy and disbelief, but very grateful. Just one of those moments where you just say, "Oh, this can only be the work, of God." Considering that, this has been in the works for the last 25 years, and finally, we're witnessing its realization. So the church, our church, is in the shape of a cross, especially from above. You'll get to see that if you've seen our drone videos. And the center of the cross is the sanctuary. And then, of course, the altar would be there as the center of the cross, which is very symbolic, that the sacrifice of the cross, the gift that Jesus made on the cross continues, to happen here every time we celebrate Mass. He continually gives Himself to us so that we may have life. So I love, that significance of the shape of the church, where the altar is in the middle of the cross. And the altar is the same altar from the old church. It would be refinished, refurbished. So we're bringing in, our old treasures into this new beautiful worship space. And the ambo would be new. It would be here for those of you who are lectors or who need to get up. It would be pretty overwhelming, to get up here and just kind of imagine, this whole place filled with at least 1,000, people. We have a dome or a cupola, which would have clear glass windows. The idea is to have natural light coming in, because we have all the stained glass windows, different colors, so at least we will have natural light coming in. And if you would be sitting there and just looking up, yeah, you'll probably be able to see the angels up there, the clouds. That was a comment that was made, I think I gave the homily that at Mass, we're not just by ourselves, right? We have the angels, we have the saints. And so one of the parishioners said, Father, I could see where the angels would be, they have enough space up there, All of them could fit in here. So we have the sanctuary wall right here. It's pretty massive. It's huge. And that would also serve as the screen, for the songs, the prayers, the readings that would be projected. So we have that incorporated in the planning. And then we have the rose window, same rose window from the old church, the image of Mother Mary. Now it's fully visible, because in the old church it was a little hidden. Now you can see it, and there'll be a backlight so that it would be prominent and visible anytime during the day. And right under is a new crucifix. The corpus, we're getting that from Italy. And if you've been to Christ the King Retreat Center in Citrus Heights, it's similar, where Jesus is still alive, just about to make that, Father, I commend into your hands, I commend my spirit. And I really like that, that he's still alive, about, to take his last breath. The cross does not come with the corpus, so we're building the cross from the old pews. So again, bringing the old into the new. And the tabernacle will be right under the crucifix. Same tabernacle from the adoration room right now. And there's another niche right there that's, I think, St. Joseph. And then on the other side, that's Mother Mary. And the choir area will be on the other side. We will have our piano and the organ back there as well. No pipe organs, but new speakers for the organ. Yeah. The ceiling would be wood. So a little dark wood, so it would create the warmth. And that was one of the suggestions too that we got from parishioners. We would want a church that's not too bright, that's not too dark, it's just something in the middle. Yeah, and I think, thank God, we're succeeding in having, that kind of environment. So the sanctuary wall divides the main church and the adoration chapel. So we have more. This is not the church yet. Yeah, and the adoration chapel will also serve as daily mass chapel. And right behind this wall is a walkway, and the sacristy is here, the place where we would get ready for mass, here in the main church or in the daily mass chapel. And then right next to it is a casket storage. So if we have a full funeral service, a vigil, a funeral mass, and a burial, so if we have the vigil here, the body does not have to be taken back to the chapel. It could stay here overnight. Free accommodation, air conditioned. It's comfortable. And on the other side, more restrooms, and then storage for decoration and music accessories or items. Okay, so I think is that close? We're not able to get in there, right? So we have to go to the other side. We've been doing some walking. Christmas. So welcome everyone to the Adoration Chapel, or also the Daily Mass Chapel. And we're calling this the Chapel of Light, or the luminous chapel, because this will feature the luminous mysteries. So the main church will feature the traditional mysteries. This would have the luminous, what's the first luminous mystery? Baptism, wedding at Cana, proclamation of the kingdom of God, transfiguration. And the center window, the rose window, will be the Holy Eucharist. So there'll be an image of Jesus there holding his body and his blood. And it's so appropriate because this would be the Adoration Chapel as well. This is what we would open during the day, and we will have the exposition of the Blessed Sacrament. So parishioners, friends, anyone who'd like to come and visit, this would be the place for them to come.
The main church would be locked.
Maybe for the first few months, we'll have everything open so that we'd welcome anyone who'd like to come and visit our new place. And we would have to train tour guides, like docents. Yeah. So that, there'll be someone to welcome them. Yeah, and then just make a little explanation of everything that we have here. So this chapel will hold 99 people. We're saying 99 because if we say 100, then we would have to add more restrooms. So just 99. And the pews that will be placed here are the old pews from the old church. They're restored. Parishioner worked on them, and so again, just a beautiful significance, symbolism that we're starting anew, but yet, we're also taking our old treasures with us, just continuing what we've been doing, since 1870. That's when we started as a Catholic community here, 1870, and this is our 155th anniversary as a Catholic community, and this is the fifth church building. Yeah, we all remember the fourth church. We were there from 1949 to 2002, and then the church before that, our older parishioners would know, from 1913 to 1942. And from 1942 to 1949, the Catholic community here stayed in the hall, in the Tamilti hall. So we're repeating that history, by staying in the hall at this moment too. So we have the rose window of Jesus, and the old crucifix from the old church will be right under it. And that altar wooden piece that we have on the stage right now, the retablo with the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, it will be placed there.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the altar and the ambo will be new, but they will be built out of the old pews. So the same parishioner who worked on the pews, same parishioner who worked on those wooden crosses, the souvenir wooden crosses, is the same person building the altar and the ambo. There are two new windows here. This is Saint Jose Sanchez del Rio. Our kids would know who Saint Jose Sanchez del Rio, right? We studied about him. Yeah, he was one of the Cristero martyrs, and we have little pieces of his bones, which will be incorporated in the new altar. So that's a Catholic, beautiful Catholic tradition, reminding us that when we gather for Mass, we gather not just by ourselves, but we gather with all the saints and the angels. So the bones will make that belief a reality. And the other side is the children of Fatima. So Saints Francisco and Saints Francisco and Jacinta. There are two statues There will be two statues here. I think this is Saint Anne and the Little Mary. Yeah, you see that as you walk in the community center. And this side is, I think, Saint Jude. And we have a vestibule. That would be the main entrance from the parking lot. And there's a vestibule. I think that was the size of the vestibule we had in the old church. And there are two stained glass windows as well, from the sacristy in the old church. So this would also, yes, I mentioned, serve as a chapel for daily mass. We get about 70, 80 parishioners for daily mass, so this would be perfect for them. And this could also be a place for, say, a small wedding or a small funeral. Originally, well, when we submitted the plan to the diocese, they thought that this was not necessary, that this would be just an additional expense. Of course, we agreed, and but we really wanted to have a place like this. They were saying that the main church would be able to do everything here: daily mass, adoration. But we thought maybe having a smaller place, would be more personal, more intimate. And what we did is kind of look at the drawing again and calculated how much it would cost more if we had this added. And it actually wasn't that much. And so we went back to them and said, this is how much it would cost. And they said, okay, go for it then. And so I'm very grateful, very happy that we have this place because it's more personal. It's still pretty high, it's still pretty wide, and for some parishes, this could be a church, already, but we're very blessed, to have a chapel. Yeah. So this is our church, and we're so grateful to be part, of this undertaking. Not everyone, not all Catholics are able to say, that we've built a church, that we're blessed as a community here at Holy Rosary to have that honor. Something especially our young people, they'd be saying, oh, I was in, are you in third grade already? Yeah, third or fourth? Fourth, that's right. Yeah, and then first. Yeah, so you'd be able to tell, oh, I was in first grade. I was in fourth grade, when the church was built, when it was being built. Yeah, it's a beautiful story that you'd be able to pass on. And there'll be a time capsule that will be incorporated in the tower area. So after 50 years, so that'll be 2075. Maybe some of us, would still be the kids for sure. So in 2075, how old would you be then? So yeah, plus 50.
50
right
plus
now.
50.
You'll be.
You 10?
You'll be 60. 60.
How old are you now? 9. Oh, she'll be 59. Wow. Can you imagine yourself being 59? No? That's old, right? Really old. That's very old. So there'll be a capsule, a time capsule that will be buried. And in 2075, when you're 59, Luca and Stella Rogero have been assigned, to be there, for that open. And so you'd all find out, what we right now as a community would have placed in that time capsule. That'll be exciting.
Taco?
As an interesting fact right here,
Yeah.
there's actually a taco in the foundation.
Oh. They went to the fair,
Are the bells going to be electronic or?
There'll be a real bell in the tower, but it would not ring.
You're not going to get up there and.
Yeah. Well, but there'll be speakers like what we have or had in the old church. Yeah. So the bell is actually already here, and the digital carillon too. Yeah, be beautiful. You'll be hearing it.
Yes, we will.
Look forward to it.
I love it.
Yes.
We hear the
Right.
other
I
one.
hear the other one sometimes.
We
Yeah.
hear it, yeah.
For quiet
Depending on the
people.
wind direction.
It's real quiet still.
Right, yeah.
ETA.
ETA. Yeah, we're really hoping and praying, Christmas masses, our Christmas masses this year. We would be here for our Christmas masses, but again,
Yeah,
in God's time.
that's right.
But I mean, what we have now, I think we're grateful, and if we were able to wait, for 25 years,
We can wait.
That's another month.
yeah,
Right.
I think it's worth the wait. Yeah.
How are you going to handle I call it coronation. I know coronation is not the right term, but the opening, the blessing of the church, the opening ceremony, and the blessing with the number of people. Huh?
We'll just be ready, for a big crowd. I mean, this definitely would be used. The sound system will be built in a way that would combine the two areas, the main church and the adoration chapel, or it could be separated. But we're looking at especially the Mass of the Dedication. We're also looking at setting up, screens up in the plaza and speakers out there.
Good idea.
So that would be pretty amazing, that day. It'll be historic, definitely, and
Yeah, I mean, you've got the community. I mean, that's 3,000 people right there, and then you've got the clerics or the
bishops and the priests.
religious and things like that.
Right.
And then I know you'll have media coverage.
yes, right, yeah.
KCRA helicopter flight.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Do we have the helicopter landing?
So thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
for, I appreciate all of you, our community, for helping me build our church. It's, of course, this is not just the result of our efforts now, but definitely the fruit of all the hard work and sacrifices of all past parishioners, and past clergy and leaders. But it's amazing, how when we come together, right? When we put our faith in God, when He allows something like this to happen, it happens. Yeah. We're not. I normally tell parishioners that Woodland is a humble, agricultural community. We're not El Dorado or Granite Bay. But it's amazing. I mean, this is probably the biggest in the church in the Sacramento area, Catholic church, comparable even to the size of St. Clair in Roseville and the cathedral. And this feature right here, is pretty special. There's not really a whole lot of churches that have a separate adoration chapel or daily mass. Yeah. So, thank you.